ladies and gentlemen, in every generation, a man rises not to be accepted, but to be heard. A man who does not ask for permission to speak truth, he declares it. A man who does not follow the path laid by colonizers, but carves his own road with conviction, with courage, and with clarity. Today, that man stands in the heart of Africa, not with medals on his chest, but with the weight of his people on his shoulders. He is not here to please the world, he is here to wake it. They may call him young, but age has never defined revolution courage has. And in his voice the continent hears what it has long awaited, not compromise but confrontation, not submission but sovereignty. This is not just a soldier, this is not just a president, this is the sound of Africa rising. This is the fire of Ibrahim Traore. He does not rule from a throne, he leads from the front lines. At a time when leadership has become a title worn by cowards and the halls of power echo with empty speeches, he has chosen a different path. A path that does not elevate him above the people, but plants him firmly among them. He is not dressed in the robes of kingship, but in the plain armor of truth. He does not hide behind gates while his people suffer in the streets. He does not watch from balconies while the nation burns. He steps into the fire, he listens to the cries, he feels the pain, and in doing so, he earns not just power but purpose. True leadership is not about distance. It is about presence, and he is present in the soil, in the sweat, in the sound of the hungry, in the struggle of the forgotten. Where others build walls, he builds bridges. Where others sit in silence, he speaks with fire. Where others read reports written by foreigners, he walks the fields, visits the markets, and looks into the eyes of the people who gave him their trust. He knows that data may shape policy, but only proximity shapes justice. And so, he does not wait for the suffering to reach his desk. He meets it at its source. They call it risky. They call it reckless, but they do not understand. It is not recklessness, it is responsibility. He is not performing leadership, he is living it. While many hide behind advisers and send others to face the storm, he walks into the storm himself. He speaks to the soldiers not as their superior, but as their brother. He sits with farmers not as a visitor, but as a son of the soil. And in these moments, he reminds the nation of something it had nearly forgotten, that leadership is not about ruling over the people, but rising with them. He does not sign agreements that destroy futures while smiling for cameras. He does not make speeches in foreign tongues to earn applause from those who engineered our suffering. He speaks in the language of the people, not just the spoken tongue, but the language of sacrifice, of presence, of action. And because he speaks that language, the people hear him, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. Because they know he has not come to be worshipped, he has come to work. He leads by example, not decree. He wakes when they wake, he fights when they fight, he shares in their uncertainty, he breathes their struggle. And that is why, when he speaks of justice, it does not feel like a political slogan. It feels like a promise made in blood. When he speaks of dignity, it does not feel like a campaign line. It feels like a vow born in suffering. And that vow is not theoretical, it is practical. It is real, it is lived, and that is what makes him different from those who ruled before him. He does not fear the weight of the people's expectations. He embraces it, he carries it, and he walks forward with it not because the path is easy, but because the burden is sacred. He does not escape into luxury while the nation bleeds. He does not trade the people's pain for personal gain. He walks into meetings not to beg for resources, but to demand respect. And when that respect is denied, he does not retreat. He stands taller because he knows who he is. He knows what he represents. And he knows that real power does not come from outside, it grows from within. He has refused to be crowned by those who have no love for his land. He has chosen instead to be carried by the hearts of his people. And in their eyes he finds his direction. In their voices he finds his mission. He is not moved by the temptations of the global elite. He is moved by the needs of the child who sleeps without food, by the mother who walks miles for water, by the worker who toils without reward. That is his source, that is his strength, that is his throne, not golden but grounded, not elevated but earned. This kind of leadership does not need parades. It does not require statues. It is remembered not by monuments, but by the movement it inspires, and he has inspired one, a movement not of protests, but of purpose, not of slogans, but of service, not of outrage alone, but of organized resistance. And in this movement the people are not cheering from a distance, they are marching beside him, because they know that in him they see not just a leader, but one of their own. He does not lead from behind a desk. He leads with his feet in the dust, his hands in the work, and his heart with the people. And that is why, when history is written and the names of the betrayers fade into silence, one name will remain, because revolution has a name, and that name is Ibrahim Traore. He has turned power into a weapon for the powerless. In a world where power is often used as a shield for the privileged and a sword against the poor, he has done the opposite. He has taken power not to enrich himself, not to silence his people, not to please foreign masters, but to defend the weak, uplift the forgotten, and speak for those whose voices were buried beneath decades of betrayal. He does not treat authority as a reward for loyalty to the system. He treats it as a responsibility to those who have suffered because of that very system. His hands do not tremble when he signs decisions, because he knows every choice he makes is grounded in justice, not fear. His strength does not come from foreign approval, but from the belief of those who walk miles for clean water, who rise before the sun to find bread, who still believe in a better tomorrow because of him. He did not come to power to become a symbol of wealth while the nation sinks into poverty. He did not come to speak in polished rooms while children learn under trees. He did not take office to host foreign guests while local markets collapse. He came with a different agenda, one that frightens those who have ruled through manipulation, one that empowers those who were once told to stay quiet, to stay in line, to stay invisible. And in that power, the ordinary citizen is beginning to see themselves again. They are seeing that power can build instead of destroy, that leadership can protect instead of punish, and that the seat of power can be a place of service, not control. He is not a man of empty slogans. When he speaks of dignity, he takes action to defend it. When he speaks of sovereignty, he makes decisions that reinforce it. When he speaks of liberation, he does not wait for permission, he moves. That is what frightens the old order, because for too long Africa has been led by those who speak with bold words but move with trembling knees. He is not like them. He does not hesitate when justice is on the line. He does not pause when the survival of his people demands bold action. He understands that delaying justice is itself a form of oppression. So he moves with clarity, with speed, with precision. He has turned the tools of power into instruments of transformation. He does not use the army to silence protesters. He uses it to defend sovereignty. He does not use policy to protect the elite. He uses it to shield the vulnerable. He does not hold press conferences to impress journalists. He speaks to awaken the continent. His words are not rehearsed in the halls of comfort. They are shaped by the urgency of pain, by the cries of the streets, by the memory of those who were killed while no one spoke for them. And now he speaks not because it is safe, but because it is necessary. The people have begun to see the difference. They see that he does not fear those in suits across the oceans. He fears only the disappointment in the eyes of his people. He is not driven by the desire to be celebrated abroad. He is driven by the duty to be remembered at home, not for his title, but for his sacrifice. He is not building a career. He is building a legacy. And legacies are not written in speeches. They are written in the way a leader makes the powerless feel powerful again, in the way a hungry child finds hope in a leader's eyes, in the way a farmer feels respected again, in the way the youth look at leadership and for the first time feel represented. This is what he has done. He has flipped the equation. Power no longer flows from the top down. It now rises from the ground up. He has given meaning to the vote, to the voice, to the vision of the people. He does not speak for the people. He speaks with them. And when he moves not as an individual, but as the embodiment of collective frustration, collective resistance, and collective dreams. This is not just politics, this is reclamation. Reclamation of purpose, reclamation of pride, reclamation of identity, and that reclamation has lit a fire across the continent. The youth are watching. The elders are nodding. The enemies are trembling, because power, once a weapon against the people, has now been placed in their hands. And with every policy, with every word, with every act of fearless defiance, he reminds us all that leadership is not about ruling over the people, it is about rising with them. He represents a generation that refuses to be ruled by fear. For far too long, the continent has been governed not by vision, but by manipulation, held hostage by systems that used fear as a tool, silence as a currency, and compliance as the cost of survival. But in the rise of this young African leader, fear is losing its grip. He is not shaped by the shadows of colonial submission, but by the fire of a generation that has seen the lies, felt the betrayal, and chosen a different path. He is not timid in his mission. He is not cautious with the truth. He does not tread lightly where courage is demanded, because he understands something too many before him chose to ignore, that fear is the weapon of those who know their time is ending. He has not inherited the chains of hesitation. He has shattered them. Where others negotiate with those who exploit us, he confronts them. Where others smile for cameras and apologize for strength, he doubles down and raises his voice. His youth is not a weakness, it is his armor. He has not spent decades learning how to survive in a broken system. He has spent years preparing to destroy it, and so he leads not with caution, but with clarity. Not with compromise, but with conviction. Not with the mindset of a man seeking to extend his stay in office, but with the energy of someone determined to restore the dignity that was stolen from his people. He has become the face of a generation that refuses to inherit fear as tradition. The youth see in him a mirror of their own frustration and hope. They do not just follow him, they rise with him. They echo his words not because they are rehearsed, but because they are real. In his defiance, they find permission to dream again. In his refusal to bow, they find the courage to stand. This is not politics as usual. This is the rebirth of pride. This is the awakening of a continent tired of being dictated to, tired of being looted, tired of being told to wait for a tomorrow that never comes. He walks with the strength of memory. He remembers the leaders who died young because they dared to dream loudly. He remembers the revolutions that were crushed not because they were wrong, but because they were right too early. And yet he walks forward, not as a martyr, but as a message. He knows the risks. He understands the threats. But he also knows that fear has never fed a hungry child. Fear has never defended the sovereignty of a nation. Fear has never rewritten a future. Only courage can do that, and courage now wears a new face, his. When he speaks, the words do not come from a place of calculation. They come from a place of commitment. He does not weigh his message to see who will be offended. He does not tailor his truth to the comfort of foreign powers. He says what must be said, because silence has cost Africa too much. He names what others fear to whisper, because pretending has become too expensive. And in doing so, he has dismantled the false idea that power belongs only to the old, that only age can bring wisdom, and that young people must wait their turn to speak. He is the proof that when vision meets courage, change does not ask for permission, it forces the door open. He does not speak of the future like a distant possibility. He speaks of it like a battle being fought now, because he knows that every day wasted in fear is another day stolen from the people, and so he acts. He restructures, he rebuilds, he refuses the terms dictated by institutions designed to keep Africa dependent. He breaks ties that bind instead of build, and he tells his people, not just through speeches, but through action, we are not victims of history, we are the authors of it. He is the reason the old systems are nervous, because when one young leader stands up without fear, others will follow, and when they follow, the walls begin to crack, the lies begin to unravel, the puppets begin to panic. This is not just leadership, this is revolution through representation. This is what happens when a new generation finds a voice that is not echoed from foreign tongues, but born from the soil. This is what happens when fear loses its place in the hearts of the brave. And now, across the continent, from dusty villages to crowded cities, the youth are watching. They are listening. They are learning that it is possible to lead without submission, to speak without trembling, to build without begging. And that is why in every footstep he takes, in every truth he speaks, in every system he challenges, the world is learning what Africa already knows, that revolution has a name, and that name is Ibrahim Traore. He has redefined power as responsibility, not reward. In an age where many enter leadership seeking privilege, comfort, and praise, he stepped forward with a different vision. He did not walk into office to decorate himself with titles. He did not arrive to sit on velvet chairs and make promises wrapped in delay. He came with a burden, not one forced upon him, but one he chose to carry. The burden of rebuilding a nation broken by betrayal, a people bruised by exploitation, and a continent long denied the right to define itself. He did not come to be served, he came to serve. And in that service, he has shown that true power is not about being above the people, but beneath their hopes, their needs, their cries for justice. He does not walk like a man seeking comfort. He walks like a soldier on a mission, like a father with the weight of generations on his shoulders. Every policy he touches, every statement he makes, every law he rewrites, is done with one question burning in his mind: how does this serve the people? Because for him, leadership is not a trophy to be polished, it is a tool to be used. And when power is a tool, it is not used to punish dissent. It is used to protect freedom. It is not used to hoard wealth. It is used to distribute dignity. It is not used to glorify the few. It is used to uplift the many. He is not a man drunk on authority. He is a man disciplined by purpose. He understands that the chair he sits on belongs to the people, and every second he occupies it is a moment borrowed from their trust, and he guards that trust like a sacred fire, never letting it burn out, never letting it be stolen. He answers to no foreign master. He kneels to no external agenda, because the only authority he recognizes is the pain of his people and the possibility that lies in their liberation. He does not play politics to maintain his position. He walks through the fire because justice demands it, and in doing so, he has reminded the continent that leadership is not about celebration, it is about accountability. He does not live like a king while his people beg. He does not build palaces while schools collapse. He does not wear gold while villages thirst. He has declared through action that the measure of leadership is not in how high a man sits, but in how deeply he feels. His government does not rule from a distance, it walks among the people. It listens, it learns, it acts, because the purpose of power is not to dominate, it is to deliver education to the child with no classroom, to deliver security to the mother walking through danger, to deliver food, health, and dignity to the ones the world forgot. And in these moments, when others would choose comfort, he chooses challenge. When others seek applause, he chooses accountability. He does not want to be remembered for his speeches. He wants to be remembered for his sacrifices. He does not want history to praise his name while his people curse his memory. He wants to leave behind not a statue but a standard that says leadership is not about being elevated by the people, it is about being emptied for them. And the more he gives, the more the people rise. The more he sacrifices, the more a movement is born, because he has taught them not just to believe in a leader but to believe in themselves. Across Africa, young leaders are watching. They are seeing that power does not need to be corrupt, that politics does not need to be performance, that governance can be honest, bold, and grounded in values. He is not just changing his country, he is changing the definition of leadership. He is rewriting the contract between the state and the citizen. He is declaring that we do not need to accept leaders who rule for themselves. We need leaders who are ruled by the needs of the people. And in this declaration, he has broken the chains of expectation. He has shown that we do not have to follow the old script. We can write a new one with courage, with clarity, and with conscience. He does not seek legacy in the pages of foreign newspapers. He seeks it in the faces of children who can now go to school, in the hands of farmers who now own their land, in the voices of women who now feel safe, in the hearts of citizens who once gave up but now believe again. That is where true power lies, not in palaces but in people, not in titles but in transformation. And this young African leader has become the proof that when power becomes responsibility, nations begin to heal.